What up, guys? This is
Cheevo, guys.
back here again with another achievement guide. Today, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to win an Eliminator match in Forza Horizon 5. If you're not quite familiar with the Eliminator match quite yet, I'll go ahead and break it down real quick. Eliminator is basically Forza's version of a battle royale match. In this game mode, 72 drivers compete to become the Eliminator, the last driver standing. This happens by each driver eliminating each other in head-to-head races, and ultimately only one person can win out of the 72 players. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys the footage of the win that I got in an Eliminator match in Forza Horizon 5. On top of that, I'll give you guys a ton of tips and tricks in terms of how to play the mode and how to give yourself a better chance of winning, because I pretty much played this mode all day trying to get this W right here. So by no means do I want you to assume that this is going to be easy to get this achievement, because it's actually one of the harder achievements in the game, definitely one of the most skillful, because again, a full match is 72 cars and only one person out of those 72 can win. If you're lucky, maybe you play late at night or something like that and there's a lesser amount of drivers playing. For instance, when I started off this match, there were only 37 cars. So obviously that's a lot easier than winning in a match with 72 cars. So first tip is, if you want to play in a match with a lesser amount of people to compete with, maybe try playing late at night or early in the morning. Personally, I played in early access as well, so there wasn't as many people playing the game, but then again, a million people are playing early access right now, so there's still a lot of people, but definitely not as much as when it comes out tomorrow for all of the regular Game Pass users. So tip number one in winning an Eliminator match: try to play at odd times, late at night, early in the morning, so that you can have less people in the match, because it's way harder to win when it's a full 72 person Eliminator match. Second, you may be wondering, why am I starting off with this Volkswagen Beetle? Everybody starts off with the same car. At first, when I dove into this game mode, I was wondering why I had an old Beetle and everybody else had upgraded cars. Well, let me go ahead and explain how you get an upgraded car in an Eliminator match. There's two ways to upgrade your car. You can either find a flare, which can give you a random upgraded car, or you can beat an opponent in a race, which will allow you to upgrade your car one level. You can see the level of your car on the upper right hand corner. For instance, the car that I have right now is level 6. The highest level car that you can have in an Eliminator match is level 10. So being that my car is level 6, there's two ways to upgrade it. Find a random flare that has a vehicle with a higher level, which is actually going to be hard to find. I think the highest level car that I found in a flare was level 7, and that's really hard to do. But traditionally, the way that you upgrade your car is by beating other people in head-to-head races. Again, every time you beat someone in a head-to-head race, you'll get an option to either upgrade your car by 1 point or take their car. Maybe they have a car that was 2 grades above yours or something like that. But in most instances, you're going to want to beat somebody in a race and then upgrade your car 1 level. So traditionally, what I would try to do is I would start up a match, I would look for a flare right away to try to upgrade my car right away. In a good match, you find a flare with maybe a level 5 or level 6 car right away, and then you can start beating people from there, upgrading your car 1 level at a time. For instance, if you start off with a level 5 car that you got from a flare, and then you beat 5 different people in races, you're going to have a level 10 car. And really the whole goal here is to get a level 10 car before everybody else, because if you can have a higher level car or vehicle, then you can smoke people in races and you can really start winning those head-to-head battles. And as you do that, you're going to get a better and better vehicle. So tip number 2, try to go for the flares right away and look for a level 5 or level 6 vehicle in a flare. Even if it's not that high level, maybe it's only level 2 or level 3, still take that car, because more than likely you're going to start looking for another flare and other drivers could challenge you in the meantime, and you don't want to end up in a race in the Volkswagen Beetle, because unless you're facing another Beetle, you're going to lose that race. So tip number 2, look for a flare and hopefully you can get a vehicle that's level 5 or above. After that, you want to go for other racers, hopefully that are still in their Beetles, and challenge them to races. And as you beat these other opponents in head-to-head races, you're going to be upgrading your vehicle 1 level at a time. So in this match where I got my win, I started off with a level 6 vehicle. I won a race, got a level 7 vehicle. I won another race, got a level 8 vehicle. I won another race, got a level 9. And as you can imagine, I won another race and ended up with a level 10 vehicle. And it made it a lot easier to win my match. So first and foremost, I wanted to explain how to upgrade your vehicle, because that's really important, especially if you're diving into this mode having no experience of what's going on. Because then you're going to be like me when I started trying to race everybody in a Beetle, not knowing that you could upgrade your vehicle by finding a flare. Alright, tip number 3, also related to flares. I found that traditionally, a lot of flares spawn next to the main freeways. So in the beginning of the match, you're going to get to choose your spawn location. Don't spawn yourself in the middle of the forest or in the middle of the jungle or on the mountain, because you're not going to find any flares up there and you're not going to find any opponents up there, and it's going to be hard to get out of that wooded area. So what I recommend doing is spawning yourself on one of the main freeways. That gives you not only a clear road to go look for flares, but again, traditionally I've seen flares spawn on the freeway or close to the freeway. So try to spawn on the freeway, that way you can get yourself a flare right away and you're not having to try to make your way through a forest or jungle before you even see your first flare, because by that time a lot of the opponents in the match are going to already have upgraded vehicles. So tip number 3, try to spawn yourself on the freeway when you start the match. Tip number 4, when you go up to a flare, it will have the vehicle name as well as the level of the vehicle above the flare before you pick it up. You don't necessarily need to stop at every flare. Sometimes you can just drive by a flare and you'll be able to quickly glance at what level vehicle that flare has. Obviously, if the level of the vehicle is higher than your vehicle, you want to exchange it via that flare. But if you have a level 8 vehicle and you're passing a flare with a level 2 vehicle, you want to make sure you don't accidentally swap your level 8 car for a level 2 car in a flare. So make sure that you're paying attention to the level indicator above the flare that shows what level car you're going to get from that flare. Along with that, you want to make sure that when you challenge other drivers that you're paying attention to the level of their vehicle, because you don't want to end up racing somebody that has a much higher level vehicle than you. At most, you want them to be one level ahead of you, but we're definitely going for the advantage here. So for the most part, you want to try to race vehicles that have a lower level than you. So if you can find somebody that's in a Beetle, catch up to them and challenge them to a race. So again, tip number 4, pay attention to the level indicator above the flares, but also above potential opponents, so that way you don't exchange your car for a lower level car, nor do you challenge somebody that has a better car than you. Alright, tip number 5, let's talk about challenging people and people challenging you. So people challenging you, you can't control this. If somebody catches up to you and honks at you, it's automatically going to put you in a race with them, whether you like it or not. Now on the other side of challenging, same thing goes for you. You can catch up to slower or lower level vehicles and honk at them to challenge them. That's obviously the goal here. You want to have a higher level vehicle. You want to try to find the people out there that have lower level vehicles. If you get close to them or pass by them, it will show their vehicle level above their vehicle, so pay attention to that. So let's say right now I have a level 9 or 10 vehicle. I would want to look to challenge opponents that have vehicle levels lower than that. So if I see somebody at level 5 or obviously level 1, you want to go ahead, catch up to them, honk at them by clicking in the right thumbstick. That's going to challenge them. They're going to automatically have to accept, and then right away you want to be looking at the HUD or GPS on the lower left hand corner to pay attention to where the destination point is, because right when it shows the destination point, you want to head that way. That's going to lead me into tip number 6. You don't have to use the recommended GPS path. That's actually the worst thing that you can do. The GPS is going to recommend that you take the roads, obviously, but you're going to find that everybody you're racing doesn't even use the roads. Everybody's just cutting through the fields, cutting through the jungle, cutting through the forest, straight toward the destination point. And that's pretty much how you have to do it. The cool thing about Forza Horizon 5 is that most of the environment is destructible. Even most of the trees, all of the bushes. So you can, drive through a forest or drive through a jungle and pretty much run over everything. However, there are going to be instances where there are some big trees that will stop you and that you cannot run over. So I'd say, 1 out of 20 trees is a really, thick tree that you can't drive through. So when you're driving through a thick forest, you're kind of closing your eyes, crossing your fingers like, damn, I really hope I don't crash into a big tree right now. And that's pretty much the feeling that you're going to get playing through most of this match. Because a lot of times I found myself in head-to-head matches trying to take a shortcut through the forest, literally crossing my fingers hoping that I make it through this forest without hitting any trees. But even if you hit a tree or 2 trees, a lot of the time it's worth it taking that shortcut. So I tend to just look at the destination point, point your car in that direction, and press the gas. And kind of just speed your way towards the destination point and pay attention so that you don't crash into anything big, like any rocks, houses, or thick trees. So, tip number 6, right when you start a head-to-head match, pay attention to the destination point on the GPS, again on the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Right when it shows the destination point, start driving directly towards that destination point and take that shortcut through any type of field, forest, or jungle and go straight there. Don't pay attention to the roads nor the GPS. The only instance where you really want to take a detour is when you're going up a steep mountain, because that really slows you down. That would be the only instance where I'd recommend maybe going around something, because if your destination point is on the other side of the mountain, obviously you don't want to go up and down that mountain to get to that destination point on the other side. You want to go around the mountain. That's really the only special occasion where you don't want to go straight for the destination point. Alright, tip number 7, and that's be an active hunter and don't be a camper. Being a camper in this mode just isn't going to work out for you. It may last a long time, maybe get in the top 10 or something like that, trying to hide from everybody, but you're definitely not going to win the match that way. And that's because primarily the way that you're going to get a better vehicle in this match is by winning in head-to-head races and eliminating opponents. Because again, every time you defeat an opponent, you're able to upgrade your car 1 level. And in terms of the flares, the cars really only get so good. Again, the best car that I've seen out of a flare is a level 7. So eventually, you know, toward the end of the match, you want a level 8, 9, or ultimately a level 10 vehicle so that you can actually get number 1 and win the whole thing. And again, the only way to get up to a level 8, 9, or 10 is to win races and upgrade your car 1 level at a time. So be a hunter, search around the map and look for opponents to challenge. Hopefully they have a lower level vehicle than you. Honk at them, challenge them, and start eliminating people, because hiding isn't going to do anything for you in an eliminator match. Now, as you can see, I just eliminated someone with my level 10 vehicle, and even after you eliminate them, you are still able to swap your car for another level 10 car. So even though you can't upgrade past level 10, you can still swap it out for a different level 10 vehicle. Now real quick, I haven't talked about the shrinking arena. Similar to other Battle Royale titles, the arena is going to shrink as the game progresses, basically forcing players to get closer and closer until they're all in a small arena. But eventually it's going to shrink to such a small area that it cannot shrink anymore, and this will trigger the final race, or what they call the final showdown. So if we pay attention to the footage, right now I'm in a head-to-head race. There's only 6 drivers left in this eliminator match, and I'm about to eliminate this person that I'm racing. It turns out they ended up quitting the race. They probably crashed into the temple and decided they're not going to win this race and just quit out. So that head-to-head was canceled, and I got the win for that head-to-head race. Now, the final showdown is going to be triggered once it's the final 5 players or the arena has shrunken for the final time. Now, the final showdown is going to be all of the remaining players racing against each other towards one destination point. Now, one thing to point out is the destination point for this final showdown is not going to be within our bubble or restricted arena. It's going to be outside of the arena. Traditionally, it's at least like 2 or 3 miles away, sometimes even 4 or 5. So it's a longer race, and again, you're usually competing with at least 5 or 6 people. So once they remove that pink arena bubble, the game is on, and you need to step on the gas and head towards that final destination point, because if you can get there before your other opponents, you will earn the prestigious title of an eliminator. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the number 1 priority here is getting a level 10 vehicle, because this is going to be super clutch when it comes to this final showdown. As you can see, I started off in last place, 6 out of 6 when this final showdown started. All of my opponents were way ahead of me. However, I was able to gain a ton of ground by shortcutting straight through everything towards the destination point, but also having that level 10 vehicle. As you can see, it makes a huge difference, and I was able to gain a ton of ground and not only catch up to my opponents, but go way past them. So at this point, this match, an eliminator win was all mine, as long as I didn't crash into any buildings, rocks, or trees. So right here I had the pedal to the metal, but also I was super focused trying to make sure I didn't crash into anything. Also, if you want to check out how close your opponents are behind you, you can get a good idea by looking at the GPS or HUD on the lower left hand corner of the screen. It looks like I'm ahead of them by a good amount, as long as I don't crash into anything. If I were to crash into anything right here that were to stop my vehicle, I could definitely lose the win. All I gotta do is make it over this hill right here and I'll be right at my destination point. I got real lucky right here because I almost crashed into that building. But there we go. Final race complete. I won my first Eliminator match, and not only that, but I got that super rare achievement called Chicken Dinner worth 30 gamer score. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the footage of my Eliminator win as well as all the tips and tricks I gave you. And most of all, I want to send some good luck your way so that hopefully you can get your achievement and win an Eliminator match yourself. Other than that, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers. We just hit 16 patrons. I'd like to give a special shout out to everybody in the biggest fan club, including Tim G84, AOJ, Kegger101, Kana25, Michael Banksa, and Cursed Souls. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe.